Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining me again as we dive into another unbelievable treasure hidden in plain sight, a story that captures the imagination of collectors, dreamers, and everyday people who might just be carrying a fortune in their pockets without even realizing it. And today we're talking about one of the wildest and most fascinating claims in the world of rare coins. A claim that centers around the humble 1975 1-cent coin, a coin that most people would never look twice at. A coin so ordinary that millions passed through hands, pockets, grocery store counters and piggy banks for decades, yet rumors, discoveries, collector insights, and unexplained mint anomalies have all come together to shape a staggering belief that one bizarrely produced and extraordinarily rare version of this coin could be worth an unbelievable $342 million, a number so massive that it sounds impossible until you start digging into the layers of what might have happened inside the Denver Mint that year. The strange circumstances, the unusual dies, the unrecorded errors, the unexpected double strikes, the off-metal strikes, the mysterious copper alloy inconsistencies, the dramatic misalignments, the planchet mishaps, and the stacking of small but meaningful flaws that could, in the right combination, elevate a penny from being worth 1 cent to being worth more than an entire luxury skyscraper, a fleet of supercars, or a lifetime of financial security. Because the story of the 1975 1-cent coin is not just about a coin, it's about mystery, speculation, tiny details magnified through the lens of rarity and error collecting, and the intense thrill of knowing that somewhere, somehow, a single tiny coin might exist that defies every expectation of what value even means. When collectors talk about the potential value of rare coins, especially pennies, they often look at the obvious things like doubling on the date, mint mark anomalies, die cracks, missing letters, or off-center strikes, but the 1975 cent introduces a puzzle far deeper, because the mint records for this year show a high production run but extremely inconsistent tool wear, rushed die changes, and an unusual number of planchet quality issues reported across employee logs, even though the mint officially never documented them. And that is where speculation begins to build, because when you have a year with uneven die use, intense machinery pressure changes, and a blend of recycled copper planchets with slightly varying compositions, the chances of producing a mysterious combination error increase dramatically. And collectors have long suspected that a small batch of 1975 cents were struck using experimental planchets or mismatched dies that were never supposed to be used together, possibly even combining leftover 1974 dies with early preparations for 1976 dies, creating hybrid anomalies that shouldn't exist. Some enthusiasts believe that the mint may have tested different copper alloys that year, because the transition toward zinc-based pennies was only a few years away, and early experiments could have led to off-metal errors where a penny might have been struck on a bronze alloy, an aluminum alloy, a transitional brass alloy, or even foreign coin planchets mistakenly fed into Denver's presses, all of which would instantly create astronomical rarity. Imagine a 1975 cent struck on an aluminum planchet, the kind similar to the experimental 1974 aluminum cents that caused massive controversy, many of which were recalled or destroyed by the mint, leaving only a handful unaccounted for, sparking ongoing myths and multi-million-dollar imaginations. So if even one 1975 cent ended up struck on an accidental aluminum planchet, it would be one of the rarest modern coins in existence, possibly unique, and uniqueness equals unimaginable value. Others believe that a double denomination error could exist, like a 1975 cent struck on a dime blank, which would drastically reduce the weight, thickness, and diameter while still showing faint traces of the dime design beneath Lincoln's portrait. And if one of these exists, it would be priceless, because double denomination errors from the 1970s are among the rarest and most sought after, especially those never documented. Then you have the die doubling theories, where collectors speculate that at least one 1975 cent could show dramatic double dies on the date or on the lettering, the kind that can multiply value by thousands, but when combined with additional errors like misaligned strikes, partial collars, rotated reverses, lamination cracks, and wrong planchets, the price becomes incalculably high, creating the possibility that a 1-cent coin could reach that mind-blowing estimated value of $342 million. The most compelling part of the myth surrounding this coin is the idea that multiple errors may have stacked on a single strike, meaning instead of one rare anomaly, you get several at once, like a major double die on the obverse, a deep die crack stretching across Lincoln's coat, a missing mint mark anomaly created by a clogged die, a copper alloy inconsistency visible under magnification, a slightly off-center strike that leaves the rim uneven, and a reverse that shows partial blockage from a coin stuck in the press seconds before it. And when errors combine in this way, rarity does not just add up, it multiplies exponentially. A single strong doubling can take a common penny into the thousands. Add an off-metal planchet. Now you're in the millions. Add misalignment. Even more. Add a brockage. Now you're talking museum-level rarity. Combine them all into one coin. Now you have something so rare it may only exist once in the entire history of United States coinage, and such uniqueness fuels extreme valuations because collectors, museums, private investors, and auction houses would battle intensely to own something that will likely never appear again, and that kind of competition is how a 1-cent coin becomes a $342 million phenomenon. The Denver Mint in the mid-1970s was known for heavy production pressure, using older machinery, reusing dies beyond their intended lifespan and operating under strict output demands that sometimes led to overlooked quality issues, and when machines were pushed to their limits, misalignment and die deterioration became more common, which created more chances for unnoticed errors to slip through. Some employees from that era, now long retired, have spoken anonymously about how the Mint occasionally mixed batches of planchets from different suppliers, and if even one batch contained foreign blanks or experimental alloys, the presses may have accidentally struck coins on unintended materials, producing anomalies that were never logged because they were never caught. And when you consider how many coins were produced in a single shift, it becomes entirely possible that only one or two of the most extreme errors escaped detection, quietly entering circulation, disappearing into pockets, drawers, and jars for decades, waiting for someone to come across them and realize they were holding a fortune. Certain 1975 cents have already been found with minor anomalies like tilted mint marks, faint doubling in Liberty, die chips on the Memorial Building, small cuts near the rim, and inconsistent copper toning, all indicating a turbulent year for Denver's production process, and these smaller findings support the belief that much bigger errors may exist but remain undiscovered. The possibility of an unrecorded mule error adds even more intrigue, because mule coins are created when the obverse of one coin and the reverse of a different coin are mistakenly paired during striking, and these are among the rarest mistakes in minting history. There is speculation that a mule combining a 1975 obverse with a reverse prepared for another denomination or year could exist, and if such a coin were ever found, it would be one of the crown jewels of numismatics. The sheer mystery fuels collectors' imaginations because the minting process is complex, mechanical, imperfect, and fully capable of producing bizarre combinations when conditions align wrong, especially during years of high output. The value estimate of $342 million is not just based on error rarity but also the story, the myth, the uniqueness, the attention it would generate worldwide, the historical significance of a multi-error penny, and the absolute frenzy such a discovery would cause in the auction world because auction houses love headline numbers that capture global attention. Imagine the bidding war, the news coverage, the collector frenzy, the museums making offers, the private investors stepping into the competition, and the iconic status that such a coin would instantly earn, because owning it would be like owning a piece of national legend, a physical object that is small in size but colossal in rarity, mystery, and historical meaning. This value is an idea born from possibility rather than confirmed discovery, but that possibility is what makes treasure hunting so irresistible. Next. 1997 1-cent coin, a coin that millions of people have handled without thinking twice, a coin that sat quietly in cash registers, candy shop counters, school cafeterias, gas stations, laundromats, backpacks, piggy banks and kitchen drawers, could in one extraordinary and hypothetical scenario be worth a staggering $81 million because of a combination of errors, mistakes, minting anomalies, metal inconsistencies, die distortions, mistrikes, off-planchet possibilities, and $1 billion accidents that transform a common Lincoln cent into a numismatic superstardom piece that collectors would battle fiercely for, and the reason this idea has captured people's attention is because the late 1990s were not as uneventful in the minting world as many assume, especially the year 1997, which saw unusual reports from collectors and coin experts about inconsistent strikes, faint doubling, small die chips, unusually weak impressions, unexpected rim errors, strange coloration differences, planchet quality issues, and mystery anomalies that hinted at a much more chaotic minting atmosphere than official records would ever admit. And when there is chaos in the minting process, there is always the chance that something incredibly rare, incredibly valuable, and incredibly unexpected might have slipped through, making its way into circulation unnoticed, only to be discovered decades later by someone who takes the time to look closely at a coin everyone else ignored. The 1997 1-cent coin is part of the zinc-based Lincoln cent era, a period known for its susceptibility to plating bubbles, split plating, peeling copper layers, exposure-based discoloration, and vulnerable planchets that often reacted unpredictably under high-pressure striking, and these conditions created prime opportunities for dramatic mint errors to form. Errors that could include off-center strikes, broad strikes, double strikes, wrong planchet strikes, denominations crossed by accident. Dramatic die clashes where the obverse and reverse dies smash against each other leaving ghost-like impressions, severe die deterioration that produces mushy doubling, and striking pressure inconsistencies that could lead to missing details, ghost lettering, or odd relief patterns, and if even one 1997 cent combined multiple extreme errors at once, it could become not only a rarity but a once-in-history phenomenon worth tens of millions. Imagine a 1997 cent struck on a foreign planchet by accident, such as a planchet intended for a dime, a foreign coin of similar size, or a transitional test metal that was never meant for circulation, and imagine that this same coin was struck off-center by 40%, leaving a dramatically shifted portrait of Lincoln, a crescent-shaped blank area where the rim should have been, and partial design overlap that makes the whole coin look surreal, and then picture that this coin, instead of being destroyed by mint quality control, somehow slipped out into circulation, maybe stuck to another coin, maybe overlooked during a busy production shift, maybe unnoticed because mint workers never expected such a combination to be possible in the first place, and this coin eventually made its way into someone's pocket where it traveled through years of transactions unnoticed. Now add another layer to the possibility. What if the coin was also a dramatic doubled die, the kind of doubling that makes the date appear thick and shadowed, the letters in Liberty stretch and overlap, and the motto above Lincoln's head display clear doubling visible even without magnification, and when such strong doubling occurs on a coin that is already off-metal, off-center, misaligned, and struck under abnormal conditions, the rarity multiplies exponentially, creating a coin that could ignite a bidding war unlike anything the modern coin market has ever seen. And collectors know that doubling on zinc cents can be particularly weird because the soft, thin copper plating sometimes exaggerates or distorts doubling, creating abnormal patterns that specialists still debate today. And in 1997, multiple dies were replaced quickly, some were repolished improperly and others suffered early cracking, all of which increased the likelihood that at least one die pair produced something extreme, something unexplainable, something so unique that its value skyrockets into the unimaginable territory of $81 million. But the possibility of extreme value doesn't stop there, because another theory surrounding the 1997 cent involves mule errors, which are among the rarest minting mistakes ever recorded, where a coin is struck with the obverse of one denomination and the reverse of another, or with mismatched designs from different years, and while no official 1997 mule cent has been confirmed, the conditions of the minting process leave room for speculation, and if even one mule exists, for example, a 1997 obverse paired with a reverse intended for another year or a foreign coin press, its rarity would be astronomical, placing it in the upper tier of world record auction pieces. And then we have the idea of a double denomination error where a coin begins as a dime planchet but is struck again as a cent, leaving both dime and cent impressions layered together, a chaotic overlap of Roosevelt and Lincoln, a hybrid of lettering and imagery that defies normal expectations, and these errors are extraordinarily rare, often selling in the six-figure or seven-figure range even when they're from common years. So if a 1997 example exists and contains an additional dramatic error on top of the double denomination, collectors would go wild for it. Another possibility involves die caps, where a coin gets stuck to the die and begins acting like a soft stamp on the coins that follow, creating distorted bowl-shaped pieces with stretch designs and ghost impressions, and die caps from the late 90s are already highly collectible, but a 1997 example with major distortions that survived undamaged would be beyond rare, and if it possessed even one additional error, such as being struck on the wrong planchet or being severely off-center, it could theoretically reach values that push the imagination to its limits. And then there is the matter of plating problems, because zinc cents from the 1990s were known for splitting, bubbling, peeling and forming dramatic lamination errors, and while most lamination errors are minor and common, there have been cases where enormous pieces of the copper layer split off during striking, creating jagged openings in the coin's surface that exposed the zinc underneath. And if a coin like this also had doubling, misstriking or metal anomalies, it could become an ultra rarity. Furthermore, some collectors believe that the mint may have accidentally produced a microscopic batch of experimental planchets in 1997 as part of internal testing for future cost reduction methods, and if even one of these planchets entered the main production line, it could have resulted in a cent with unusual metallic composition, One that might weigh differently or react differently under magnification and spark tremendous interest among specialists who value anything that deviates from normal mint procedure, because uniqueness is the currency of the rare coin world. And the reason the rumored $81 million valuation circulates in collector discussions is not because anyone has officially confirmed such a coin exists. Next. 1990. Today we are diving into one of the most unbelievable claims and exciting mysteries in the entire modern numismatic community, the idea that a 1990 1-cent coin, yes, the simple brown penny from Denver, could hypothetically be worth a jaw-dropping $55 million because of a combination of rare mint errors, extreme minting anomalies, die imperfections, mistrikes, planchet problems, unusual doubling, unrecorded experiments, metal inconsistencies, and unbelievable 1 in a billion mechanical accidents that create a coin so rare, so unique, and so unrepeatable that collectors, investors, museums, and auction houses would battle furiously to own it. And although the vast majority of 1990 cents are nothing more than ordinary copper-plated zinc coins worth exactly 1 cent, the possibility that even a single coin from this year in mint could contain the perfect storm of errors is what makes the search so exciting, because the Denver Mint in 1990 was a fast-paced, high-output, heavily mechanized facility pushing billions of coins through its presses, and when production runs are massive, the chances for something strange happening behind the scenes increase dramatically, and the 1990 cent has become a subject of fascination among collectors because of scattered reports of strange die deterioration, early-stage die cracks, rim issues, unusual plating bubbles, planchet inconsistencies, weak strikes, and faint doubling that appear across a handful of coins. All of which indicate that the minting environment that year was far from smooth and predictable, and whenever you have mechanical instability mixed with massive production volume, you create the perfect environment for extreme errors to be born, including off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet strikes, double denomination strikes, mule errors, dramatic die clashes, severe die breaks, missing design elements, rotated dies, partial collars, lamination peels, split plating, and other minting catastrophes that collectors absolutely adore because rarity is the engine of value in the coin world. Now imagine that in the midst of this high-speed, high-volume year, 1990 cent was struck not on a normal copper-plated zinc planchet, but on a foreign planchet that somehow mixed into the feed tray, because mints around the world often use similar-sized planchets, and accidents like this, although extremely rare, have been documented in other years. And imagine that this foreign planchet weighed differently, reacted differently under strike pressure, and produced a distorted or incomplete design, making the coin instantly unique and enormously valuable. And now imagine another layer on top of that. What if the same coin was also struck off-center by 30 to 60%, producing that dramatic crescent-shaped blank space along the rim, the kind of off-center striking that already sells for impressive amounts in auctions, but now combined with the wrong planchet error, the value skyrockets. But we're not stopping there, because the true fascination around the rumored $55,001,990 cent is the idea that multiple extreme errors could combine in a single coin, creating what collectors call a stacked error rarity, meaning the value does not simply add but multiplies because each error becomes rarer in combination with others. So imagine a wrong planchet strike that is also an off-center strike, that is also a strong double die obverse, where the date, the mint mark, and the motto all show dramatic doubling with clear, thick shadows visible even without magnification, the kind of doubling that transforms an ordinary cent into a collector's dream. And then imagine die cracks stretching across Lincoln's portrait, forming retained cuds on the rim, adding even more uniqueness to the coin. And then imagine the reverse also showing a slight rotated strike, meaning the top of the obverse does not perfectly align with the top of the reverse, a rare error by itself but now part of a larger collection of anomalies. And then we add the plating issue. The copper layer begins to separate at the time of striking because the pressure was uneven or the planchet was compromised, creating peeling, bubbling, jagged edges, or exposed zinc sections that make the coin even more visually dramatic. And dramatic errors always multiply value because collectors love coins that immediately catch the eye with mistakes that are unmistakable, undeniable, and impossible to replicate. And then imagine the possibility of a double denomination error, where a coin that was previously struck as a dime accidentally enters a press that strikes cents, producing a bizarre layered effect where traces of the dime design remain underneath the cent impression, a truly astonishing type of error that has sold for enormous amounts in other years. And if this occurred in 1990 at the Denver Mint, the discovery would break every auction record for modern coins. But the fascination grows even further because some collectors believe that a mule error could theoretically exist for the 1990 cent, where the obverse of a cent was accidentally paired with the reverse of another coin entirely, whether a different denomination or a foreign coin reverse, and mule errors are among the rarest minting mistakes ever documented, with some examples from different years reaching hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in value. And if a mule from 1990 exists, especially one combined with additional errors like off-center striking, doubling or wrong planchet composition, then the valuation could explode into the tens of millions. The dramatic $55 million estimate is not meant to imply that any such coin has been discovered or verified, but instead reflects the theoretical price ceiling that could be reached if the perfect combination of errors existed in a single 1990 cent, because rarity, uniqueness, and storytelling power control the highest levels of the auction world. And nothing creates bidding wars like a coin that should not exist but does, a coin that breaks every rule of minting and becomes an instant legend. And the fascinating part is that error coins do not follow predictable patterns. Sometimes the rarest coins in the world come from the most unexpected. Next. 2000 1-cent coin, a coin minted in the tens of billions, a coin tossed into pockets, jars, counters and vending machines across the entire country, could in some extraordinary, hypothetical, and astonishing scenario be valued at $34 million because of an unimaginable combination of mint mistakes, striking errors, die anomalies, mechanical failures, metal inconsistencies and accidental conditions that transform what should have been a completely ordinary copper-plated zinc penny into one of the rarest hypothetical treasures that could shake the numismatic world to its core. And the reason collectors even speculate about such extreme possibilities is because the year 2000 at the Denver Mint was not as flawless as many assume, with countless reports from collectors, coin roll hunters and numismatic researchers describing a wide range of minor but telling issues found across circulated and uncirculated examples, including light doubling on the date, inconsistent plating adhesion, bubbles in the copper layer, unusually weak strikes caused by overused dies, rim issues indicating collar slippage, faint die cracks forming early in some die runs, grease-filled dies causing missing letters and incomplete details, and even some odd shapes in the memorial columns on the reverse that appear distorted on a small number of coins. And whenever a year shows evidence of widespread mechanical instability, even in small forms, there always exists the distant but thrilling possibility that a truly dramatic error could have slipped through unnoticed. Now imagine this scenario: the Denver Mint in 2000 was operating at extremely high speed, pumping out massive quantities of circulating coinage during a time of economic expansion, and whenever machinery is pushed to its limits, the risk of catastrophic mistakes increases dramatically. And if even one planchet intended for another denomination or foreign coin accidentally entered the cent production line, the result would be a wrong planchet 2000 cent, one of the rarest and most valuable types of mint errors in modern numismatics, because wrong planchet mistakes are already highly sought after even when they involve ordinary years. But if such an error occurred in 2000 and combined with additional striking mistakes, the value could skyrocket into levels no modern coin has ever reached at auction. Now picture a coin struck on a dime planchet or even a foreign planchet of similar diameter, causing the copper plating to behave unpredictably and the design to appear incomplete, with Lincoln's portrait cut off on one side, the rim missing entirely from a portion of the coin, the reverse missing key design elements and the weight falling completely outside the normal 2.5 gram standard. And then imagine that this same coin was struck off-center by 30%, creating a dramatic crescent-shaped blank area that instantly identifies the coin as an ultra-rarity. And then imagine that, due to die deterioration or a misaligned hubbing process, the obverse also exhibits strong double die characteristics, where the mint mark D, the date 2000 and the letters of Liberty appear with thick, clear doubling visible even without magnification, the kind of doubling collectors dream of finding. But we're not done building this extraordinary scenario, because now imagine that the reverse die suffered a die clash earlier in its lifespan, meaning the obverse and reverse dies struck each other with no planchet between them, transferring ghost-like impressions of Lincoln's portrait onto the reverse and faint outlines of the memorial building onto the obverse. And when these internal die clashes occur, the resulting coins can show bizarre and dramatic overlapping shapes that collectors go wild for. And if such a clash die also produced a wrong planchet, off-center, double die strike, the rarity level would become astronomical. And if that wasn't enough, imagine the possibility that the collar mechanism responsible for forming the rim of the coin malfunctioned in that exact moment, causing a partial collar strike that makes the rim appear railroad-like or uneven, adding yet another layer to the long list of errors occurring at once, something so statistically impossible that if it ever happened, the coin instantly becomes one of the greatest minting accidents in modern American history. Now consider plating issues, because 2000 D cents, like other zinc cents from the 1990s and early 2000s, were susceptible to plating bubbles, split plating, peeling copper layers and exposure-based discoloration, and while these issues are normally minor, if a planchet with severe plating instability entered the striking chamber at the same moment as the other errors described, the copper layer might crack open during the strike, forming jagged shapes, missing patches of plating, uneven texture, or dramatically exposed zinc areas, all of which would make the coin even more visually shocking, and visually shocking errors always sell for much higher values because rarity is amplified when the error is instantly recognizable. But let's add another layer. Imagine a struck-through error where a piece of wire, cloth, fabric, metal shaving or even grease was stuck between the planchet and the die during the strike, leaving a deep indentation or missing section of the design that adds another undeniable feature to the coin's uniqueness, and struck-through errors combined with off-center striking, doubling and wrong planchet composition are so incredibly rare that the numismatic world has only a handful of comparable examples, none from the year 2000 and none from the Denver Mint under such extraordinary circumstances. And then there is the possibility of a double denomination strike, one of the rarest errors ever recorded, where a planchet that was previously struck as another coin, usually a dime or even a foreign coin, accidentally enters the cent press and receives a second design over the first, creating a bizarre hybrid coin showing faint outlines of the previous denomination and strong impressions of the new one. And these types of errors have sold for huge amounts in other years, sometimes surpassing six figures easily. And if a double denomination error occurred on a 2000 D cent and combined with the other extreme errors described, the theoretical value could easily reach tens of millions simply because no other coin like it would exist. And now we approach the most legendary type of error. Next. 2013 1-cent coin, a small lightweight zinc-based penny with a copper plating that most people toss aside, ignore, drop into jars, lose in couch cushions, spend without looking twice, and never imagine could hold secrets or hidden value, yet this little coin from 2013 carries a mystery that has captured the attention of collectors, researchers, numismatists, and treasure hunters around the world because rumors and theories suggest the existence of a 2013 penny with such extreme, such extraordinary, such once-in-a-generation mint errors that its estimated value could soar to an unbelievable $1.6 million, and while not every 2013 penny is worth a fortune, the possibility that even one could contain the right combination of mistakes, accidents, metal defects, dramatic doubling, planchet issues, or striking anomalies makes the year 2013 one of the most intriguing in the modern era of the Lincoln cent, and this brings us to the journey of exploring exactly what kinds of errors could cause such a mind-blowing valuation, because the U.S. Mint in 2013 was producing billions of pennies under enormous mechanical pressure at high speed, which increases the chances of unexpected imperfections slipping through the process, and errors can occur at almost every stage, starting from the moment the blank planchets are punched from strips of zinc to the application of the thin copper plating, to the heating, rinsing, drying, and ultimately the striking process where the obverse die carrying Abraham Lincoln's portrait meets the reverse die carrying the Union Shield design, and if anything goes wrong during any one of these steps, even by the tiniest fraction of a millimeter, the resulting coin can take on characteristics that make it dramatically different from a normal penny, and collectors chase these differences relentlessly, searching bank rolls, coin machines, pocket change, and old jars hoping to find even a minor error, let alone the dream of discovering an ultra-rare multimillion-dollar 1-cent error coin. And the truth is that modern pennies, especially those after 1982 when the composition changed from copper to zinc with copper plating, are extraordinarily prone to errors because zinc is softer, more reactive, and more vulnerable to issues like plating bubbles, exposed zinc streaks, cracks, and surface separations. And when such flaws combine with die deterioration, misalignment, incorrect striking pressure, die cracks, or doubling, the results can be visually dramatic and extremely valuable, and that leads directly into the legendary possibilities surrounding the 2013 cent, because collectors have documented a wide variety of unusual traits on pennies from that year, including die chips around Lincoln's eye or mouth giving him strange expressions, die cracks running through the date or motto, extra metal blobs near the shield on the reverse, split plate doubling that exposes bright silver-colored zinc beneath the copper layer, and misaligned die strikes that distort the lettering in I In God We Trust or Liberty, and although most of these errors are minor and worth a few dollars or maybe a few hundred in rare dramatic cases, the speculation around the $1.6 million figure comes from imagining the perfect storm of mint errors: a 2013 cent struck on the wrong planchet, such as a copper planchet left over from earlier years, or perhaps on a foreign coin blank used for international minting contracts, or even more. Incredibly, a 2013 cent struck on a dime planchet which would produce a smaller, silver-colored coin with penny designs compressed into the wrong size, and such a coin would be extraordinarily valuable on its own. But some collectors imagine a scenario where an extreme double die also occurred on that wrong planchet strike, meaning the date, the motto, or Lincoln's entire portrait could appear doubled, shadowed, distorted, and immediately recognizable even at a glance, and dramatic double die. Coins are among the most sought-after errors in numismatics, especially when the doubling is bold, clear, crisp, and visually striking enough to make the coin stand out as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, and if you combine that with additional errors like a partial collar strike, an off-center misalignment, a strong die crack that leaves raised metal across the coin, or a massive cud where part of the die breaks away entirely leaving a large blob of raised metal replacing part of the design. Suddenly you have a coin that is not only rare but possibly unique, a coin that no one else in the world possesses, a coin that would generate fierce bidding competition from collectors who understand the true magnitude of such a discovery, and whenever rarity reaches the level of unique or nearly unique, values can skyrocket because the coin essentially becomes a trophy piece, a museum-level artifact, a historical accident preserved forever in metal, and collectors with deep pockets often pay astronomical amounts for coins that tell a story unlike any other. And the story of a 2013 penny worth $1.6 million fits perfectly into the thrill of what could be hidden among the billions of coins produced that year, because somewhere in those billions, among all the normal pennies that pass through cash registers, banks, vending machines, and pockets across America, there remains the possibility of that one coin with the perfect combination of flaws that elevates it into numismatic history. And imagine the excitement of someone sorting through a jar of change, casually examining pennies for fun, when suddenly they notice something unusual. Perhaps the date looks doubled, the rim appears uneven, the color looks strange, or part of the design is missing or dramatically distorted, and their heart starts pounding as they realize they may have stumbled upon something extraordinary. And this dream keeps collectors searching tirelessly, hunting through boxes of pennies, inspecting every detail under magnification, lighting coins from different angles to catch subtle doubling, checking weights to detect wrong planchet strikes, studying rims to identify partial collars, examining surfaces for plating disruptions, and flipping coins over and over to spot anything that seems even the slightest bit out of place, because when the reward can reach into the millions of dollars, the dedication to the search becomes a thrilling and addictive pursuit, and this is why people talk about the 2013 penny with such fascination, because modern pennies are usually dismissed as boring, common, unattractive, and unlikely to hold major value, yet history shows that some of the most valuable error coins ever discovered come from years nobody expected, and often the most shocking discoveries come from coins minted in recent decades, not because the coins were intended to be rare but because their rarity emerges entirely from unpredictable accidents and the fact that most people never bother looking. And that is the magic behind this story, the idea that an ordinary 2013 penny, ignored by millions, could secretly be the rarest and most valuable example of modern minting history, and the excitement builds when we consider plating bubbles that create dramatic blistering across Lincoln's face or the shield, or lamination errors where pieces of the copper plating peel away, exposing the zinc in wild patterns that make the coin look like no other, and such. Visually striking errors often bring enormous attention at auctions where collectors compete passionately to secure unique pieces, and another possibility that fuels the $1.6 million speculation is the chance that a 2013 cent exists with a mule error, where mismatched dies were accidentally paired together, such as a penny obverse paired with a dime reverse or another unexpected design, and although the chance of such a mistake occurring is tiny, mule errors have sold for hundreds of thousands and even millions in past cases, making them among the rarest and most valuable of all minting mistakes. And while no known mule for 2013 cents has been confirmed, the idea that one could exist continues to energize collectors who believe that somewhere, perhaps still undiscovered, is a coin that defies normal expectations and redefines what a modern penny can be worth. And even if the exact $1.6 million example has never surfaced publicly, the possibility alone creates an atmosphere of excitement and curiosity, encouraging people to look more closely at their change, inspiring treasure hunters to search relentlessly, and fueling a growing wave of interest in modern era coins that pushes values higher with each auction. And this entire phenomenon demonstrates how a single coin, one simple penny from 2013, can ignite the imagination of the entire collecting world by reminding us that extraordinary treasures often hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for the right person to discover them and reveal the incredible story that transforms a 1-cent coin into a multimillion-dollar legend. Next. 1974 1-cent coin, a penny that most people think of as common, boring, and barely worth picking up from the ground. Yet within the world of coin collectors and error hunters, this particular year holds an incredible amount of mystery and potential value because of a set of rare, strange, and extraordinary minting errors that could elevate a single 1974 penny to a mind-blowing estimated value of $21 million, and while it might sound unbelievable at first, when you understand the world of mint errors, production flaws, transitional metal changes, experimental planchets, die deterioration, striking problems, and unexpected mechanical accidents, the idea that a familiar 1974 penny could become one of the most valuable modern coins starts to make sense, and this is why collectors are obsessed with searching through old jars, coin rolls, inherited collections, flea market boxes, and dusty drawers, always wondering if the next coin they pick up could be the one that changes their life forever. And the 1974 cent is especially intriguing because this was the year the United States Mint was experimenting with alternative metals, specifically testing aluminum planchets as a possible replacement for copper because rising metal costs had made producing copper cents extremely expensive at the time. And during these experiments, hundreds of thousands of aluminum cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, though nearly all were later ordered to be destroyed, but some survived and became infamous, leading to decades of legal battles and political controversies and creating legends about 1974 cents struck on aluminum, bronze, brass, foreign planchets, transitional metals, and even unapproved alloy mixtures. And because of all this chaos surrounding the metal experiments of that year, the 1974 cent has one of the highest possibilities for exotic mint errors, laboratory test planchets, and ultra-rare varieties that slipped into circulation accidentally, making it one of the most hunted and most mysterious coins of the 1970s, and when collectors talk about a 1974 penny being worth $21 million, they are imagining the most extreme and unbelievable combination of errors and mistakes that could theoretically exist, such as a 1974 cent struck on the wrong planchet entirely, meaning that instead of being minted on the usual copper alloy used for that year, it might have been struck on an aluminum planchet intended for testing, or perhaps a leftover foreign coin planchet from another country that the U.S. Mint was producing coins for, or even on a dime planchet which would produce a smaller, silver-colored coin with the penny's design squeezed into a dramatically incorrect size, and the rarity of such wrong planchet strikes alone can push their value into the hundreds of thousands or even millions. But when you imagine combining that with other dramatic features such as a strong double die where the date, the motto, or Lincoln's portrait shows powerful, unmistakable doubling, suddenly the value skyrockets into territory where collectors are willing to pay absolutely astronomical amounts, because major double die errors, especially ones that affect the design strongly enough to be visible without magnification, are among the most desirable mint mistakes ever discovered. And if a spectacular double die occurred on a 1974 test planchet strike, the coin would be one of a kind, instantly transforming it into a museum-level treasure that collectors with unlimited budgets would battle fiercely over, and this is only the beginning because the 1974 penny is also known for die cracks, die breaks, misaligned strikes, off-center strikes, partial collars, weak strikes, and numerous planchet flaws, especially bubbles and cracks caused by the copper plating process, and dramatic die breaks known as cuds, where part of the die literally breaks off, leaving a large raised blob of metal on the coin, can make a coin uniquely desirable, and when such a cut appears on a coin with additional errors like misalignment or doubling, the combined value grows exponentially. And another possibility that collectors dream about is a mule error, which is one of the rarest types of mint mistakes where mismatched dies from two different coins are accidentally used together, resulting in a coin with one denomination on the front and a completely different one on the back. And mule errors have sold for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars because they are so wildly rare. And if such a mule involving a 1974 penny were ever discovered, especially if it were struck on an experimental planchet, it would instantly become one of the most valuable modern coins in American history. And beyond these extreme errors, even simple mechanical mistakes in 1974 could lead to pieces that collectors prize, such as off-center strikes where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, creating a crescent-shaped blank area, or Broad strikes where the collar malfunctions and the coin expands outward, creating a larger, flatter cent that looks completely different from the normal round penny, and these types of errors, when combined with test planchets or doubling, could create once-in-a-lifetime rarities. And the excitement grows even stronger when we consider transitional metal errors, because after the 1974 experiments with aluminum cents, the mint continued adjusting its materials in subsequent years, making it entirely possible that leftover test planchets or foreign blanks remained in storage and were accidentally fed into coin presses during routine production, meaning that a 1974 penny could exist today in a metal composition that was never meant to circulate, such as aluminum, zinc, brass, bronze, or even a foreign alloy mixture that produces a strange color, weight, or sound. And collectors would instantly recognize such a coin as something extraordinary because weight tests, metal scans, and visual differences would reveal it as being unlike the billions of ordinary 1974 cents produced, and the thought of discovering such a coin, something that shouldn't even exist, creates intense motivation among coin hunters who search every possible source looking for that one impossible error. And the reason the estimated value is imagined as high as $21 million is because of the unique combination of rarity, history, controversy, and sheer impossibility that surrounds the 1974 experimental cents. And when you have a coin that is not only rare but tied to a historical government trial, legal tension, destroyed test runs, and myths of missing pieces, the intrigue multiplies, attracting ultra-wealthy collectors who want to own something that is not only monetarily valuable but historically irreplaceable. And imagine the moment a person checks their old childhood jar of coins, or sorts through a box inherited from a relative, or examines pocket change out of curiosity. When suddenly they notice something strange about a 1974 penny. Maybe the metal looks too light or too shiny, maybe the weight feels wrong, maybe the rim looks unusual, maybe the date appears doubled, maybe the reverse design is misaligned, or maybe a giant die crack runs across the surface creating an unmistakable flaw. And that moment of realization sends chills down their spine as they recognize that this might not be an ordinary penny at all but potentially one of the rarest and most valuable mint errors ever produced in the United States. And this possibility, the idea that a coin worth just 1 cent could secretly be worth millions, electrifies the imagination and keeps collectors searching endlessly, poring through thousands of coins, analyzing every detail under magnification, examining mint marks, scanning metal composition, weighing coins to the nearest decimal, comparing surfaces for plating flaws, studying each letter in Liberty or in God We Trust to detect any abnormalities, and flipping the coin repeatedly to catch even the slightest sign of an error that could indicate its rarity. Because when you enter the world of error hunting, every flaw has meaning, every scratch could be the beginning of a story, every misalignment might be the key to a fortune, and the thrill of discovery becomes a powerful force that keeps people searching year after year, knowing that the next coin they examine might be the one that changes everything and reveals a treasure hidden in plain sight for 50 years, and that is the magic of the 1974 penny, a coin surrounded by myths, possibilities, mysteries, experimental metals, and the hope that somewhere out there, perhaps still undiscovered, lies the ultimate error coin worth an unbelievable $21 million, waiting for the right person to pick it up and recognize its incredible story. Next. 1978 D1 cent coin can carry secrets, mistakes, and errors that make it potentially worth an astonishing $39 million, and while that number may sound almost impossible to believe at first glance, once you begin to understand the inner workings of the United States Mint, the incredible variety of minting errors that can occur even in a single year, and the rare, unpredictable combinations of mistakes that create coins of extraordinary value, it becomes easier to see how a humble penny can transform into a modern-day legend. And the story of the 1978 D cent is one that perfectly illustrates this phenomenon because it combines historical context, minting quirks, potential experimental planchet errors, die deterioration, striking anomalies, and collector-driven speculation into a narrative that continues to captivate enthusiasts, numismatists, and treasure hunters alike. And the year 1978 was a fascinating period for the mint as they continued producing Lincoln cents in massive quantities while experimenting with production efficiency and die longevity. And although most of the coins from this year appear ordinary, a closer examination reveals the potential for a variety of errors ranging from doubled dies, die cracks, cuds, off-center strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, plating anomalies, and even the possibility of wrong planchets or experimental metals entering circulation. And each of these errors on their own can make a coin more valuable than its face value. But the real magic happens when multiple errors converge on a single coin, creating a once-in-a-generation specimen that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums to acquire. And the 1978 D penny is particularly intriguing because the Denver Mint that year produced coins on presses that were under extreme mechanical stress, with high-speed striking, aging dies, and occasional human error, all of which increase the likelihood of mistakes. And when you consider the types of errors that can occur, the possibilities become truly staggering, from minor die cracks to dramatic double dies where the date, the motto, or Lincoln's portrait shows unmistakable doubling that can be seen with the naked eye, to cuds where pieces of the die break away completely, leaving large raised blobs of metal that replace portions of the design. And collectors prize these errors not only because they are rare, but because they represent moments in history where perfection failed and the coin became something completely unique, something that can never be reproduced, something that embodies both chance and consequence in metal. And when discussing the 1978 D penny specifically, experts have speculated about the existence of off-metal errors, perhaps coins struck on foreign planchets, or even experimental aluminum or brass planchets that were never intended to circulate. And while such coins would be incredibly rare, the sheer possibility fuels the imagination and excitement within the coin collecting community. And one of the most dramatic scenarios that could justify a $39 million valuation is the combination of an extreme doubled die, a misaligned or off-center strike, a major die crack, a large cud, and an unusual planchet composition all appearing on a single coin. And while each individual error has been known to exist, the probability of all of them occurring simultaneously is so small that if such a coin were discovered, it would instantly become one of the most valuable coins in history, drawing attention not only from private collectors but also from museums, investors, and institutions looking to preserve an irreplaceable piece of minting history. And this is part of what makes the 1978 D penny so captivating, because even though most coins from this year are worth nothing more than face value, the potential for extreme errors hidden among the millions produced keeps collectors searching tirelessly, examining old rolls of coins, inherited collections, bank boxes, pocket change, and flea market finds, all in hopes of discovering the one coin that defies expectations and delivers unimaginable value. And the allure is further amplified by historical context, because during the 1970s, the United States Mint was transitioning between different production methods, experimenting with die metallurgy, planchet composition, and striking techniques to increase efficiency while maintaining quality. And this period of adjustment meant that errors were not only possible but perhaps even slightly more likely than in other years. And when a coin like the 1978 D cent emerges with unusual characteristics, collectors immediately recognize it as a potential treasure, whether it be a subtle misalignment, a faint double die, a minor cud, or a dramatic plating anomaly. And the human fascination with rarity and uniqueness means that the more extreme and unusual the error, the higher the potential value. And in the case of the 1978 D penny, this has led to theoretical valuations as high as $39 million, driven not only by the rarity of the coin itself but also by the imagination and competitive desire of collectors who understand that a once-in-a-lifetime discovery can completely change the dynamics of the market. And part of the excitement comes from examining the specific types of errors that may exist on coins from this year, such as die cracks running through Lincoln's coat, face, or the date, doubling that affects the lettering in God We Trust or Liberty, misaligned strikes that create crescents of blank space, broad strikes that expand the coin beyond its normal diameter, cuds that replace part of the design with raised metal, and off-metal strikes that produce coins with completely unexpected coloration, weight, and composition. And when such errors occur in combination, the coin becomes a singular artifact, impossible to replicate, representing both a technical failure and a historical event frozen in metal. And collectors understand that the rarity and historical significance of such a piece can make it more valuable than any other factor, even more valuable than precious metal content, because the market for unique era coins is driven by scarcity, story, and desire, not intrinsic material. And the 1978 D penny is a perfect case study because its existence as a potential multi-era coin highlights how the smallest mistakes in the minting process can produce outcomes of extraordinary financial and historical significance. And the thrill of searching for such a coin cannot be overstated, as collectors pore over every detail with magnification, examine every roll of coins for subtle abnormalities, and study the historical records of die production, planchet usage, and minting practices to determine the likelihood that a coin with multiple extreme errors could have escaped the press and survived to the present day. And the idea that somewhere, possibly in a forgotten collection, a box of old coins, or a jar left untouched for decades, a single 1978 penny may exist with all the errors required to reach an astronomical $39 million valuation is what keeps the coin collecting community energized, motivated, and passionate, because the chance of discovery is never zero, and history has shown that the most incredible coins are often found where nobody expected, often in the hands of people who simply took a moment to examine what appeared to be ordinary change. And this is why collectors remain vigilant, because the 1978 1-cent coin embodies the perfect combination of history, rarity, error, mystery, and possibility, making it a symbol of everything exciting about coin collecting and a reminder that even the most mundane coins in your pocket could hide secrets of unimaginable value. And as we explore every potential error, from doubled dies to cuds, misaligned strikes, off-metal planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, experimental metals, and more, it becomes clear how a single penny can transform from a 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar treasure, representing decades of speculation, imagination, and the thrill of discovering something no one else has ever seen. And that is exactly what makes the 1978 penny one of the most fascinating coins for collectors, investors, and treasure hunters alike, because in the world of numismatics, the line between ordinary and extraordinary is often defined by the rare accidents and mistakes that occur during minting, and the 1978 penny perfectly exemplifies how a combination of such accidents can elevate a simple coin into the realm of legends, creating the ultimate dream for collectors who dedicate their time, energy, and expertise to finding the next coin that could change history and deliver unimaginable wealth and recognition. And with that, the story of the 1978 1-cent coin continues to inspire, excite, and challenge collectors to search, examine, and imagine, always hoping that somewhere out there, hidden in plain sight, is the coin that proves the myths, validates the rumors, and finally delivers the extraordinary value of a $39 million treasure that could turn an ordinary penny into an object of legend, history, and unparalleled financial significance, reminding us all that in the world of coins, even the smallest pieces can carry the largest stories, and the tiniest mistakes can create the most spectacular legacies. And the 1978 1-cent coin is the perfect embodiment of that truth, an ordinary coin with extraordinary possibilities. Next, 1975 1-cent coin can hide secrets, errors, and mistakes that could make it worth an astonishing $19 million, and while that number may sound absolutely impossible to someone unfamiliar with the world of rare coins, once you begin to understand the intricate workings of the United States Mint, the production processes involved, and the incredible variety of errors that can occur even in a single year, the story of the 1975 penny becomes both captivating and plausible, because behind every coin lies a history of mechanical precision, human oversight, metal chemistry, and sometimes sheer accident that can transform a simple piece of currency into a treasure coveted by collectors around the world. And the 1975 1-cent is particularly fascinating because it was struck during a period when the mint was under significant pressure to produce millions of coins efficiently, while also experimenting with die life, press calibration, and planchet quality. And in that environment, mistakes, both small and dramatic, can and do occur, ranging from doubled dies, die cracks, cuds, misaligned strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, plating anomalies, and even the possibility of wrong or experimental planchets entering circulation. And each of these errors on its own can increase a coin's value significantly, but when multiple errors converge on a single specimen, the resulting rarity can be truly extraordinary, creating coins that are essentially unique, impossible to reproduce, and thus capable of commanding record-breaking prices. And in the case of the 1975 penny, experts and collectors speculate about a wide range of potential mistakes that could exist, such as a strong doubled die where the date, motto, or Lincoln's portrait appears doubled, shadowed, or distorted in a way that is instantly recognizable even without magnification. And such errors have historically brought coins enormous value, because the visual impact and rarity are highly prized in the collecting community. And in addition to doubled dies, the 1975 1-cent could potentially exhibit die cracks running through Lincoln's face, coat, or the date, creating raised lines of metal that are completely unintentional and unique to that coin, or cuds where part of the die has broken away, leaving a blob of raised metal that replaces a portion of the design. And collectors are drawn to these anomalies because they are impossible to replicate and they tell a story about the minting process itself, representing both the imperfections and the unpredictability of human and mechanical processes at work. And further possibilities that increase the theoretical value of a 1975 penny include off-center strikes, where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area, Broad strikes where the coin expands outward beyond its normal diameter due to collar malfunctions, and even misaligned dies that distort the placement of Lincoln's portrait or the shield on the reverse, and the combination of these anomalies with unusual planchet issues, such as coins struck on leftover or experimental metals, can make the resulting coin not only visually dramatic but historically significant, because it embodies a moment in minting history where a coin that should have been ordinary became something truly exceptional. And when you consider the metal composition of 1975 cents, which were mostly copper-based but subject to rigorous testing and occasional variations, it becomes easy to imagine scenarios in which a coin could be struck on a planchet that was intended for another use or was a slightly different alloy, producing differences in color, weight, or hardness that make it stand out dramatically from standard circulation coins, and these types of anomalies are precisely what collectors hunt for relentlessly, sorting through rolls of coins, bank boxes, inherited collections, and forgotten jars, examining each coin under magnification, checking the weight, the dimensions, the surface, and the edges for any clue that a coin might be something extraordinary, and in the rare cases when such a coin is discovered, the resulting excitement can be unparalleled, because a coin with multiple errors, dramatic visual anomalies, and historical significance can easily become the centerpiece of a collection, or even a once-in-a-lifetime acquisition that defines the career of a collector, and the 1975 penny's potential value of $19 million is tied directly to these rare scenarios, where a coin might combine a strong double die, a major die crack, a large cud, an off-center strike, a broad strike, and possibly a wrong or experimental planchet, creating a coin that is not only unique but also breathtakingly dramatic to the eye, and this combination is what drives the imagination and speculation in the coin collecting world, because while millions of pennies were minted in 1975, the number of coins that could possess even a single dramatic error is tiny, and the likelihood of multiple extreme errors appearing together is extraordinarily small, which is why any potential discovery of such a coin is met with intense excitement, media attention, and competitive bidding from collectors who understand the rarity and significance of what they are dealing with, and it is this very combination of rarity, historical context, mechanical error, and collector fascination that gives the 1975 penny the theoretical potential to be worth millions. And the story is further enriched by the fact that the 1970s were a period of significant experimentation and adjustment at the United States Mint, as presses were updated, dies were modified, and production techniques were refined to increase efficiency while maintaining quality, and in such periods of transition, mistakes are not only more likely but also more diverse, including experimental strikes, leftover test planchets, die deterioration, and subtle mechanical variations that can create entirely unexpected outcomes, and the thrill for collectors is in the hunt, because any ordinary roll of coins could contain the coin that changes everything, whether it be a misaligned 1975 D penny with partial doubling, a planchet anomaly revealing a different alloy, a die crack forming a unique raised pattern, or a combination of several of these extreme features that produces a coin like no other, and the very possibility of discovering such a coin keeps collectors motivated year after year, as they examine every detail meticulously, compare coins with historical references, and use every tool at their disposal to identify even the smallest hint of an unusual error, because in the world of numismatics, a single coin that embodies multiple rare errors is more than money, it is a piece of history, a symbol of chance and accident, and a treasure whose value is determined not by the metal itself but by the story it tells and the rarity it represents. And the 1975 1-cent coin is a perfect example of this principle, because while the vast majority of pennies from that year are mundane and ordinary, the theoretical existence of one coin with the perfect combination of errors and anomalies illustrates how extraordinary outcomes can emerge from the most ordinary materials, and collectors understand that this is the essence of their pursuit, the reason they dedicate countless hours to rolling coins, inspecting surfaces, analyzing details, and imagining what might be hidden in plain sight, and it is this combination of rarity, imagination, historical context, and the potential for a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that gives the 1975 D penny its almost mythical value, and whether it is a strong double die, a dramatic die crack, a large cud, an off-center strike, a broad strike, a misaligned die, or an experimental planchet, the coin represents the ultimate dream for collectors, a coin that can transform from a humble 1-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar artifact, a coin that embodies the unpredictability of minting, the thrill of discovery, and the enduring fascination of numismatics, and this is why collectors, investors, and enthusiasts continue to search for the 1975 penny, examining every roll, every jar, every inherited collection, hoping to be the one who uncovers the coin that validates the myths, realizes the potential, and becomes the ultimate prize in modern coin collecting. And the story of the 1975 1-cent coin reminds us all that even the smallest, most ordinary objects can hold the most extraordinary secrets, and that in the right circumstances, a simple penny can become a legendary treasure, worth a staggering $19 million, waiting patiently for the right person to recognize its true value, appreciate its errors, and claim its place in history as one of the most remarkable and valuable coins ever discovered. Next. 1982 1-cent coin can hide secrets, errors, and mistakes that could make it worth an astounding $41 million, and while that number may sound almost impossible to anyone unfamiliar with the world of rare coins and numismatics, once you begin to understand the intricacies of minting, the delicate interplay between machinery, human oversight, and metal chemistry, the story of the 1982 penny becomes not only plausible but absolutely thrilling, because behind every coin lies a history of meticulous design, mechanical precision, and occasional error, and in the case of the 1982 1-cent, the potential for mistakes is amplified by the fact that this was a transitional period for the United States Mint, a time when new presses, adjusted die metallurgy, and evolving planchet compositions were being tested and implemented, and during such periods of experimentation, coins are uniquely susceptible to a variety of errors that, when discovered decades later, can elevate an ordinary piece of currency into a treasure of unimaginable value, and the 1982 penny is particularly intriguing because it coincides with a period when the mint was experimenting with zinc-coated copper planchets to reduce production costs, a change that introduced new variables into the minting process, such as variations in metal hardness, planchet thickness, and striking pressure, and these variables alone can lead to a wide array of anomalies including die cracks, cuds, doubled dies, misaligned strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even coins struck on experimental or foreign planchets, and while any single error can significantly increase a coin's value, the true allure and theoretical astronomical worth of the 1982 penny, estimated at $41 million, comes from the potential combination of multiple extreme errors occurring on a single coin, creating a specimen that is entirely unique, impossible to replicate, and therefore commanding the highest levels of interest among collectors, investors, and institutions, and when we examine the types of errors that might exist on such a coin, the possibilities are truly staggering, ranging from dramatic doubled dies where the date, Lincoln's portrait, or the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" are visibly doubled, creating a striking visual effect, to die cracks running through the design that leave raised, unintentional lines of metal that give the coin a distinct texture and appearance, and collectors' prize. These anomalies not only for their rarity but for the insight they provide into the minting process, a process where precision meets imperfection in ways that can produce singular works of art, and cuds, portions of the die that break away entirely during striking, create raised blobs of metal that replace sections of the coin's design, transforming it into a one-of-a-kind object that tells a story of accident, chance, and mechanical failure frozen in copper and zinc, and the 1982 penny is also susceptible to off-center strikes, which occur when the coin is not perfectly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that is partially missing and creating crescents of blank metal, broad strikes where the collar fails to contain the coin during striking, misaligned dies that distort the intended design, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet entirely, perhaps a leftover experimental blank or one intended for testing, which introduces a different alloy, weight, or color, and the convergence of these anomalies on a single coin is what could justify the mind-boggling $41 million valuation, because each error adds a layer of rarity, collectability, and intrigue, and when combined with the historical context of the early 1980s mint operations, the result is a coin that is not only valuable in financial terms but also culturally and historically significant, representing a tangible artifact from a period of transition in American coin production, and the excitement surrounding the 1982 penny is compounded by the fact that the majority of pennies produced in 1982 were ordinary circulation strikes, making any coin exhibiting extreme errors an instant sensation within the collector community, and the thrill of discovering such a coin cannot be overstated, because collectors sift through thousands of rolls, inherited coin collections, bank boxes, and even forgotten jars of coins, examining each specimen with magnification, precise weight measurement, and careful attention to the edges, surface, and inscriptions, in hopes of identifying a coin that defies the ordinary and offers a glimpse into the rare and extraordinary possibilities of minting mistakes, and the 1982 D-penny exemplifies the perfect storm of circumstances that can produce a once-in-a-lifetime numismatic treasure: a period of technical transition at the mint, the introduction of new planchet compositions, the possibility of misaligned or broken dies, the potential for off-metal or experimental strikes, and the convergence of multiple errors on a single coin, all of which create an object that is visually dramatic, historically significant, and financially staggering. And when collectors imagine finding a 1982 D-penny with dramatic doubling, a major die crack, a large cud, an off-center strike, a broad strike, and perhaps even a planchet anomaly simultaneously, they are visualizing a coin that transcends ordinary rarity to become a legend within the hobby, a coin that could command the highest prices ever seen for a modern American penny. And the pursuit of such coins fuels the intense passion, meticulous research, and tireless searching that define the world of serious numismatics, because each coin is not just a piece of metal but a story, a moment in time, and a testament to the intersection of precision, accident, and human endeavor. And the 1982 D-penny's potential value of $41 million is directly tied to this combination of rarity, historical intrigue, technical imperfection, and collector desire, illustrating how even the smallest objects can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. And the thrill of the hunt is further amplified by the fact that coins with extreme errors are often discovered in the most unexpected places: forgotten collections, rolls pulled from circulation, inherited jars of coins, or even casual purchases at flea markets. And the realization that a single coin could completely redefine a collection, a career, or even the history of modern coin collecting is what keeps enthusiasts searching, studying, and dreaming decades after the coin was first minted. And as we explore the 1982 D-penny, considering every type of error, anomaly, and possibility, from doubled dies to cuds, die cracks to off-center strikes, broad strikes to misaligned dies, experimental or wrong planchets, and even plating anomalies, it becomes clear why such a coin could theoretically reach a value as high as $41 million. Because it represents the pinnacle of rarity, uniqueness, and historical significance, combining visual drama, technical curiosity, and the irresistible allure of something that should not exist but does, a coin that embodies both chance and consequence, accident and design, history and fantasy, all within the dimensions of a humble 1-cent piece. And collectors understand that the value of such a coin is not measured merely in metal but in the story it tells, the thrill it inspires, and the possibility of owning something that no one else has ever seen, something that captures the imagination, the passion, and the dedication that defines the entire field of numismatics. And this is why the 1982 D-1-cent coin continues to fascinate, excite, and motivate collectors worldwide, because it embodies the perfect intersection of error, rarity, historical significance, and possibility. A coin that transforms from an everyday object into a modern legend, a tangible artifact of chance and history, and a potential treasure worth $41 million waiting to be discovered, appreciated, and celebrated as one of the most remarkable coins of its era, illustrating how even the smallest, most common objects can carry secrets of extraordinary value, and why collectors, enthusiasts, and historians alike continue to dream, search, and study, always hoping to be the one who uncovers a 1982 D-penny with the perfect combination of errors that elevates it from ordinary to legendary, from 1 cent to $41 million, a coin that captures the imagination, tells a story, and defines the ultimate quest in the world of modern coin collecting. Last. Today, as we dive deep into the fascinating and intricate world of coin collecting, a world where even the smallest and seemingly ordinary coins can harbor secrets, mistakes, and rare anomalies that have the potential to transform them from simple currency into treasures worth millions of dollars. And today we are focusing on the 1975 D-1-cent coin, a coin that at first glance appears entirely ordinary but, under closer inspection, reveals a world of possibilities for errors and mistakes that could make it theoretically worth an astonishing $9 million. And while that figure may sound unbelievable to anyone unfamiliar with the nuances of numismatics, once you understand the meticulous processes involved in minting, the mechanical and human variables at play, and the historical context of the United States Mint during the mid-1970s, the potential for extraordinary errors becomes not only plausible but deeply fascinating, because each coin produced at the mint is the result of a precise interplay between carefully crafted dies, planchets of exact dimensions and composition, high-speed presses, and the occasional human oversight. And the 1975 D-penny was minted at the Denver facility during a period of significant production demand, where millions of coins were being struck under extreme operational conditions, which increases the likelihood of mechanical stress, die wear, and anomalies escaping detection. And errors in minting can take many forms, ranging from doubled dies, die cracks, cuds, misaligned strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, to planchet anomalies, and each type of error has its own level of rarity, collectability, and potential value. And the true magic, and the reason this coin can reach valuations as high as $9 million, comes when multiple errors coincide on a single coin, creating a specimen that is not only rare but completely unique, impossible to reproduce, and highly sought after by collectors and investors alike. And when we examine the possibilities in detail, we see that a 1975 D penny could, in theory, display dramatic double dies, where Lincoln's portrait, the date, or inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" are doubled, shadowed, or misaligned, giving the coin a distinctive and immediately recognizable appearance. And die cracks could appear running across Lincoln's face, coat, or the date, creating raised, unintended lines of metal that give the coin a unique texture and appearance. And cuds, which occur when a portion of the die breaks off during striking, can leave raised blobs of metal replacing sections of the design, turning the coin into a one-of-a-kind artifact that tells a story of mechanical failure and chance frozen in metal. And off-center strikes, another type of anomaly, occur when the coin is not perfectly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that is partially missing and a crescent of blank metal appearing along the edge. And broad strikes, which occur when the collar fails to contain the coin during striking, result in coins expanding beyond their intended diameter, creating visual drama and rarity. And misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse do not line up correctly, can distort the design and add to the coin's intrigue. And planchet errors, including those where the coin is struck on a blank intended for another coin or an experimental alloy, can further increase a coin's rarity and potential value by producing differences in color, weight, or composition that make the coin stand out dramatically from standard circulation pennies. And the convergence of several of these errors on a single 1975 D penny is what could theoretically justify a $9 million valuation, because it represents an unprecedented combination of rarity, uniqueness, and historical significance. And collectors understand that the value of such a coin is determined not by the intrinsic worth of its copper composition, but by the story it tells, the visual impact it has, the rarity of its anomalies, and the historical context of its production. And the 1975 D penny is particularly compelling because it comes from a year and a minting facility where millions of ordinary coins were produced, meaning that any coin exhibiting multiple extreme errors would be extraordinarily rare, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery for the collector who happens to find it. And the thrill of searching for such a coin is one of the reasons the hobby of numismatics remains so exciting, as collectors carefully inspect rolls of coins, inherited collections, old bank boxes, and even jars of coins left untouched for decades, using magnification, precise measurement, and keen observation to identify even the smallest hint of an anomaly that could signify a coin of exceptional value. And historical records indicate that the Denver Mint in 1975 was under operational pressure, producing coins at high speed, with dies subjected to repeated stress, which increases the likelihood of die cracks, cuds, and doubling occurring. And it is this very combination of mechanical pressure, human oversight, and sheer chance that allows for the creation of coins that are far beyond ordinary in both appearance and value. And the excitement around the 1975 D penny is fueled not only by the physical anomalies that may exist but also by the speculation and imagination of collectors who envision scenarios where multiple extreme errors coincide to create a coin that is visually striking, historically significant, and financially extraordinary. And it is this potential, the dream of discovering a coin that is both unique and spectacular, that drives collectors to spend countless hours rolling coins, examining every detail with magnification, studying historical mint records, comparing coins side by side, and imagining the possibilities that could make a simple penny worth millions. And when one considers the types of errors individually, each is impressive. Doubled dies can make inscriptions appear bold, blurry, or shadowed. Die cracks can form intricate patterns across the coin's surface. Cuds can transform the design in unpredictable ways. Off-center strikes can create dramatic visual effects. Broad strikes can expand the coin beyond normal proportions. Misaligned dies can distort the intended design. And planchet errors can produce a coin that differs in metal composition or thickness from standard coins. And when such features are combined, the resulting coin becomes more than money. It becomes a piece of history, a testament to the unpredictability of minting, and a tangible artifact that collectors, historians, and investors all recognize as extraordinary, and the 1975 penny, with the potential for multiple extreme errors, embodies this principle perfectly, because it represents the intersection of human ingenuity, mechanical process, chance, and historical context, and the possibility of finding such a coin, hidden in a jar, a roll, or a forgotten collection, continues to inspire excitement and passion in the coin collecting community, because it is a reminder that even the most ordinary-looking coins can hide secrets of unimaginable value, and that sometimes, the smallest errors can create the most remarkable treasures. And the potential $9 million valuation of the 1975 penny is a reflection of this rare combination of rarity, uniqueness, and historical intrigue, and it is why collectors, enthusiasts, and numismatists alike continue to study, search, and dream about this coin, always imagining that somewhere, out there, a single 1975 penny may exist with the perfect combination of dramatic doubled dies, significant die cracks, large cuds, off-center strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, or unusual planchet composition that would elevate it from a simple 1-cent coin to a legendary treasure worth millions, a coin that captures the imagination, tells a story, and defines the ultimate quest in the fascinating and unpredictable world of modern coin collecting, reminding us all that even the most mundane objects can carry extraordinary value, history, and mystery, and that the thrill of discovery lies in the chance that a coin we might overlook today could be the rarest and most valuable coin of our lifetime, the 1975 1 cent, a penny that exemplifies the incredible possibilities that arise when error, rarity, historical context, and imagination intersect, creating a coin that is as valuable in story and significance as it is in financial potential, a coin that is both a challenge and a dream for collectors, and a symbol of everything that makes the hobby of coin collecting endlessly fascinating, rewarding, and thrilling.